Welcome to Thoroughbred Racing Forecast Kentucky Derby Special, the fastest 30 minutes on television. Coming to you from fabulous Las Vegas. Thoroughbred Racing Forecast, starring Dennis Tobler.
Hello, racing fans. My name is Dennis Tobler in Las Vegas, and this is Thoroughbred Racing Forecast, our Kentucky Derby Special. That's right. We have another special going this year with an excellent guest, Mr. Mark Klein from Louisville, to give us the insights and information we need to be a winner at this year's Kentucky Derby. And before we get to the show, I have some other shout outs I'd like to make. The first one is to my Aunt Elda Tobler, who just turned 90, who had an accidental fall, broke her hip. She's in recovery. Aunt Elda, get well soon. We love you, and we hope that you're healing fast. That being said, let's turn on to the thoroughbred side of the equation. This Saturday, Louisville, Kentucky, the 150th running of the Kentucky Derby. It's been a big, long tradition in the horse racing industry, and this year looks to be one of the good races to bet on. However, not all of the top 3-year-olds this year are in the Kentucky Derby field. We'll touch on that during the show. But first of all, I want to tell you that we're being brought to you by the Sports Players Club. Okay, now this is not your ordinary betting platform. The Sports Players Club is a unique combination for everyone. You can bet sports, you can bet horses. We have a special offer on horses, and that is a 5% rebate. And if you sign up on betspc.net to the Sports Players Club, we'll give you a $100 free roll on this year's Kentucky Derby. So mark it down, betspc.net. That's the website. But our special can only be acquired by going to betspc777@gmail.com. That's right. This is an email special. Feel free to email our office at betspc777@gmail.com. Mention the $100 rebate. And also, if you sign up to bet the horses or the sports, we'll give you a 5% rebate on your horse wagers. So you can't beat that anywhere. That's betspc.net. And we'll be right back after this message. Welcome to the Sports Players Club, betspc.net. Whether you're a sports bettor, horse racing fan, or casino player, betspc.net is your #1 source for online gambling entertainment. From our industry-leading odds and world-class sports book to our rich casino games and fully loaded race book, we've been providing players from around the world with an unparalleled gaming experience for many years. Contact us today at betspc.net or our customer service, betspc777@gmail.com. Contact us today.
Check us out at www.thoroughbredforecast.com for the latest in horse racing selections, also videos of our television shows, and better yet, we have our many opportunities for investment and opportunities for you to get involved in the great sport of kings. Check us out today, thoroughbredforecast.com.
Well, welcome back to Thoroughbred Racing Forecast, everyone. I had to make sure I had my derby hat on and my gold sunglasses and my Hilo Hattie Hawaiian shirt to be in the mood to pick the races this year. And I have one of the most special guests you could have on a horse racing show, a man by the name of Mark Klein. Mr. Klein is a comedian. He's a handicapper. He's a horse owner. He's a star in his own right at every level. And it's such a pleasure to have him on the show. Mark, welcome to the show. What do you think of my get-up?
Well, Dennis, it is my fervent wish that you need the sunglasses for Derby Day. I don't know that you will or not. This is the American Midwest, and the forecast is for showers on Friday, which is Oaks Day, and Derby morning. However, this is Ohio Valley weather. We could have a hurricane. A volcano could erupt at the quarter pole at any time. It could be 80 and sunny when they start the race and pouring rain by the time they end it. So I hope you need the sunscreen and the sunglasses, but we'll know a little closer to the weekend what kind of weather actually going to happen. As of now, the forecast is thunderstorms Friday for the Oaks and showers Derby morning, clearing by Derby time.
Well, may not need the hat, may not need the sunglasses. It's the Ohio Valley. So
Always
there
need
you
a
go.
Hawaiian shirt, though, so you always need that.
Yeah, that'll always fit in the stands, that's for sure. Okay, Mark. First of all, I'd like to have you introduce yourself a little bit to our audience. I mean, you were on my 2022 Kentucky Derby Special show. We had a great bunch of selections there. I think you hit the superfect. I'm not sure, but tell everybody about your court. You're known as the corporate jester, the corp jester, that is, for your funny shows that you do around the country and on cruise ships. Why don't you tell everybody what it is you exactly do and a little bit about your schedule, and then we'll have everybody set up on and we'll address the race.
Well, here's what I do when I pretend to work. I do comedy shows on cruise ships from Tahiti to Tampa. I do shows at 55 plus communities all across the country, California to Florida. I'm getting a little older. They used to show me a dressing room at those shows. Now they show me a model home. That's kind of depressing. I also do shows at country clubs, and I do some speaking in the horse racing industry. I've been lucky enough to be partnerships in some horses that have run okay. And I've had a couple of claimers that didn't pan out, and that's part of this business. So my schedule is about a third of the year on the ocean, a third of the year working land gigs at country clubs and resorts and 55 plus communities, and the other third of the year I'm at Churchill Downs Racetrack trying to justify my existence to the guys next to me at the rail.
I love it. I love it. What a career. Hey, I understand you have a YouTube channel also. Would you like to let us in on your YouTube channel so everybody can watch?
Sure, you can find me on YouTube at Mark Klein, YouTube, MarkKlein. And I'm also featured on Dry Bar Comedy. Go to drybar.com. They have clean comedy videos, and punch in Mark Klein comedian on Dry Bar, and you get to see a 40-minute show there. So I'm all over the web. You can find me. I'm not hiding anywhere. I will be after they run this race, but I'm not hiding anywhere now.
Yeah, and I have to tell all of the public out there that Mark puts on one great show. It's all, you have to be a little bit intellectually sound to get most of his jokes because they are pretty deep. But what a funny man, and what a great pleasure it is to have you on the show. So let's pivot now to your third hobby, and that is owning horses, betting the races. Let's take a look at this year's Kentucky Derby. I think we have a graphic we can pull up, and I'd like to run through each horse and just get a comment on each one real quick, and then we'll come back and handicap the race. Taking a look at this year's 150th Kentucky Derby race, we'll start from the inside out. Dornoch gets the one hole here. Little insight from you, Mark, on Dornoch?
He's a horse we're going to discuss later in depth. He has no choices during this race because of his post position, but in his perfect world, he won't need them. He's trained by Danny Gorgon, ridden by Louis Saez. Louis knows Churchill Downs and this racing circuit very well. He's not a stranger to the track, so you could have confidence in his jockey.
I believe so too. I believe he's a contender here. The one hole, if he gets out okay and doesn't get pinched, he could be right there to help set the pace. Number 2 is the second favorite in the race, Sierra Leone. And we all know it's a come from behind horse, and there's going to be plenty of speed to set up that race. What about Sierra Leone?
A closer with Chad Brown training. Tyler Gaffleone is aboard. Tyler's won multiple riding titles at Churchill Downs, another jockey that knows this track very well. Sierra Leone has the look to me of a false favorite. We'll analyze that a little deeper as we get deeper into the show. I know he's going to be probably 3 or 4 to 1. He probably will run without my money.
Okay, another one that I know you like is Mystic Dan. He's in the 3 hole here, and I'll just give you a negative that I saw when I looked at it. I just thought that his best performances were on fast tracks, and I'm not too too impressed by that Southwest win in the Southwest Stakes because it was such a muddy track. I don't know, but he's got a great trainer. Let's hear your side.
He gets Kenny McPeak, veteran horseman, first-class trainer. Brian Hernandez is his jockey. Brian is under bet in major races, fully capable of winning a Breeders' Cup or a Kentucky Derby. He never gets bet to his talents, so you get good value there from a wagering standpoint. And Mystic Dan is a very interesting horse to me for a bunch of reasons.
And he's going to be a big long shot, so that's one big reason. All right, number 4, Catching Freedom. Do you think he can catch back after his early races?
Catching Freedom won the longest race of any horse in this field at 1 mile and 3/16, which speaks well of his upside because they may not have seen the best of him. He's a Brad Cox trainee. He gets Florian Pratt aboard, and you cannot leave him out of your exotics. Whether he can win or not, you cannot leave him out of your exotics.
And I believe he'll be coming from behind too in there. Number 5, Catalytic was scratched, correct? Or no?
No, Catalytic is still in. Encino got scratched. Catalytic is still in the race.
Number 5 then. He's at the 5 post. And he finished so far behind Fierceness in the Florida Derby. I'm not sure he has a chance.
Sappy Joseph trained. Jose Ortiz is aboard. And if you can bet horses to finish 6th through 12th, I think that's a good bet for him.
I don't think you can, but maybe somewhere. Number 6 is Just Steel, Justify Bred horse. He's raced 11 times, and I don't know. Maybe he's out of gas. He's already run 11 times as in his career.
He's in a 2024 Kentucky Derby, racing on a 1924 schedule. D. Wayne Lucas trains him. Keith Asmussen gets the mount on this horse, not on Steve Asmussen's horse later in the Derby. He'll be overbet because of the Lucas sentimentality, but overbet horses are not good value.
That's for sure. Here's a number 7, Honor Marie. Some people's wise guy horse. I don't have it anywhere. But the wise guy picks don't seem to win very often, so I'm not too worried about it. What do you say?
His connections are strangers to this whole Triple Crown series. Whit Beckman and Ben Curtis doesn't mean they're not good jockey and trainer or good jock-trainer combination. Just means they haven't done this before. And this is one race. Experience really helps you. So, again, I hear a lot of noise about this horse. It doesn't tempt me.
Me either. Number 8, Just a Touch. They say he may be the next Mage, but Mage didn't really impress me that much. So he won the Bluegrass, I believe, or he had the lead, and then Sierra Leone blew past him. I'm not sure he's got a chance either.
Another Brad Cox horse with Florence Giroux aboard. I think the other Brad Cox horse is a better bet, better value. You get more horse for the money with Catching Freedom.
Okay, we're halfway through the field with number 10, T.O. Password, the Japanese-bred horse that's only ran 2 lifetime races. His 3rd race is going to be the Kentucky Derby. If he doesn't get 3rd to last, 2nd to last, or last, it will surprise me.
He is handicapping legend Andy Byer's choice to finish last. So if they let you bet on that, you've got a good authority that will help you down that road. Ridden by Nanako Taganaka and trained by Kazana Kimura. I'm sorry, I had those reversed. Kimura is his jockey. Danuka Takanaki is his trainer. And again, these people are all new to this. And ask anybody who been on Mendelssohn a couple of years ago, if you're new to this, it'll put some age on you. Yeah,
that's a tough thing. I believe he's in the race to try to set it up for Forever Young. Forever Young won the UAE Derby, I believe, in classy fashion, but there's been 19 horses that came back from Dubai that ran in the Kentucky Derby, and not a one of them have won. In fact, a 5th place finish is the best any horse has done coming back from the Dubai races and coming to Kentucky. So he's up against it in stats wise. I don't know how good he is. He's another Japanese bred, I should mention if I didn't. So what do you say about this one?
He is trained by Yoshito Yahugi. His rider is Rinso Sakai. And this kind of travel from Japan to the UAE to America, I don't care how long you give horses between that schedule, this throws off your biological clock like trying to fly through O'Hare at Christmas time. It's tough. And until a horse from Japan or the UAE wins this race, they don't get my money.
That being said, I do believe people are going to bet this horse.
Yeah, they'll have plenty of noise about him. People they want certain things to happen. You cannot wish it so, though, and I don't think they're going to be able to wish it so past the top couple choices in this race.
That's the best line. You cannot wish it so. Okay, number 12, Track Phantom. Track Phantom, we'll talk about him. He is very interesting in my situation too. We'll talk about him a little bit more later, but he's a front runner early, but he has one of the best jockeys in Joel Rosario. I might mention Joel Rosario rode some of my horses I owned in the early 2000s. The year he won his first jockey title at Santa Anita, he rode my horse Carson's Copper to a win. So I'm well familiar with what Joel can do. And even though he has a horse that has some speed, he's going to probably lay back, let a couple of cheap ones go first. And he's one that's going to be really dangerous, in my opinion.
I agree with that. Steve Asmussen's the best, all-time winningest trainer in North America. He's putting blinkers on this horse for this race, which cannot help but focus him. And if Joel can save anything for the back end of this is a long shot that I think has a real shot. His morning line is 20-1.
And number 13, West Saratoga. Now, this is the only white horse in the race. So the people who like to bet grays and whites, it's the only one in the race. And that's about the only thing I know about it, because its highest buyer speed rating was only 85. I don't think the horse has ever ran on the dirt before.
I cannot tell you what he's doing here other than Larry Demerit and Jesus Castellon had nothing else to do at 7 o'clock Saturday night in Louisville. So 50-1 morning line should be 150-1.
That's the way I see it too. I like that. Okay, did we pass? That was number 13, West Saratoga. Number 14, Endlessly. Endlessly, I thought at the start of the 3-year-old season was going to be somebody that had to be dealt with, but the trainer said he prefers to run in another race on Derby Day, and you got to take the trainer's word for it. If he says he would rather run in a different race, I don't think he's got much of a chance in the Derby.
The horse must have bitten him last week. He must have done something that just put him. I think they're both off their feet.
Either that was an insult to the owners, one of the two. I'm not sure what he was trying to say there.
Owner-driven, excitement-driven, emotion-driven. Again, morning line is 31, should be 3,000-1. Umberto Rispoli rides for Mike McCarthy.
Thanks for the backup on it. Mike McCarthy, good for you. Okay, now we're on to some more interesting ones that are getting wise guy attention, and that's number 15, Domestic Product. I don't know. The only thing I can say is he's got one of the best jocks in the world in Irad Ortiz Jr. on him. So he's got a chance, but he's going to have to really take a big step forward.
Yep, he has a puncher's chance, but I think that's all it is. Irad just won the riding title at Keeneland, that's pretty tall cotton right there. And he's a Chad Brown trainee, so he can't be counted out, but I'm not counting him in.
Right, me either. Number 16, Grand Mo the First. He's had 4 straight third-place finishes. I don't think that's enough to get him anywhere in the Kentucky Derby.
I don't know what this horse is doing here other than satisfying someone's ego, certainly not the horse's, because he won't have one much of an ego left when they're done with him. 50-1 morning line. Victor Barboza trains with Emmanuel Jaramillo aboard.
And let's move to the favorite in the race, number 17. Will he come out of post 16 since there was a scratch?
Yes, correct.
So he'll come out of post 16, but he's still number 17. And the 17th hole has never won a Derby race, so maybe he'll win out of the 16th hole, even though he's number 17.
He's good enough to win out of either one or both at one time. This horse is the standout ability horse as of now in this field. Todd Pletcher trains him. Johnny Velasquez is aboard. What you need to say about JV. I mean, he's got great training, great jockey. And the people who know horses, and I know I can read a racing form and I can pronounce their names, but the people who know the actual animals say that Fierceness is head and shoulders talent-wise above the rest of this field.
And he is the favorite in the race, so he's getting his respect due. I have more to say about him when we do our own selections at the end of the show. And I want everybody to stay tuned at the end of the show. Mark has his bets put together. I'll give you some of my bets and some advice, and you want to make sure you have your pencils and paper ready so you can get that. And those of you listening on our audio podcast, I suggest you try to find DBTV or CanyonStar.tv or thoroughbredracingforecast.com and watch the show, YouTube, one of the channels, because we can do more justice to you on this show if you're able to watch it than just listen to it. But I don't want to sound bad to any of our audio podcast carriers. So listen if you're on the road on any of your favorite podcast channels. Yep, number 17, Fierceness, goes off the favorite in this one. The next horse, number 18, Stronghold, he will inherit the 17th stall, so that must mean he can't win. But Stronghold actually won the Santa Anita Derby, okay? He won the Santa Anita Derby, and I don't know how many times the horse coming from the Santa Anita Derby goes off at 20-1 in a Derby field, but that's what Stronghold's odds are.
Because he's not a Baffert Santa Anita Derby winner. He's a Phil D'Amato. And that's no disrespect to Phil D'Amato. Veteran horse trainer, Hall of Fame, all of that stuff. And his due. Great horse trainer. And I agree with you, to have a horse come out of be a California champion, come out of the Santa Anita Derby and not get anything better than 21 respect is astonishing. But this is 2024, not 1984. And so the California horses just don't seem to be at the level they were as little as 10 years ago in terms of their ability to win, unless Mr. Baffert, is at the controls. D'Amato trains him. He gets Antonio Frizzou as his jockey, and he's well connected. We'll see if he's an overlay.
Yeah, we'll talk more about him during our selections because I've got him in spots. Okay, number 19, we're getting close to finishing up. Resilience won the Wood Memorial at Aqueduct, but I don't think anybody comes from Aqueduct and wins the Derby any longer.
I've been a sucker for Wood Memorial winners since Funnyside, and have been disappointed roundly and routinely since. You have horses like Bellamy Road years ago came out of the Wood with some buyer speed figure like $1.4 million. I mean, just an insane figure. Can never duplicate anything remotely approaching that. And the Wood is no longer a premier prep for the Kentucky Derby, I don't think, and hasn't been since the days of Funnyside and Secretariat before that. It's just no longer the prep race it once was.
And for all you listeners and viewers out there, he's mentioning Funnyside. That takes us back to 2003. So Aqueduct for 20 years has been ineffective in producing Kentucky Derby horses. Okay, number 20, similar situation. He was 106-1 in his last race, Society Man.
Danny Gorgon has 2 horses in the Kentucky Derby after going 0 for 150 before that. God bless him. You have to be happy for this guy. He puts Frankie Dettori on this horse. So if you like thoroughbred racing and gymnastics, you get them both. Because if he wins, forget jumping off and he'll do a triple somersault, double axle flip coming off this horse if he can hit the wire first. His chances are not great, but it would be sure a lot of fun if he won. Danny Gorgon trains, Frankie Dettori aboard. 50-1 morning.
Yeah, Dettori's a very good jockey, and too bad he couldn't get a better mount than this, because this one's got no chance. It was 106-1 in the Wood Memorial. So we just talked about it. Okay, number 21.
And that was only because the digits only go to 3 places on the odd screen. They don't have a 4th one for it to come across at 1,001.
Yeah. Okay, so we have the scratch, and then we have the also entered number 20, running from the 20 hole. He'll be number 21, Epic Ride, who's mostly done his work at Turfway Park, and Turfway Park doesn't translate for me to Kentucky Downs. A lot of people it does, but not in my shit, not for me, not on the dirt. So I don't give Epic Ride a shot either.
I agree. I think Turfway Park is about 5 years of Churchill Downs management away from starting to produce first-class Derby contenders again. I think it will one day. I don't think it does now. Joe Talamo, great jockey, gets the mount for, Adam Beskiza gets the mount for John Enos. And again, veteran horsemen, kind of new to this. They haven't been around this type of racing in their careers before.
So we're looking at the field with Fierceness, the first favorite, and Sierra Leone is second favorite on the board. There's a lot of horses on the board that we're going to be discussing in our pick section. So there you have the rundown for the Derby. We'll be right back to discuss more of the 150th running of the Kentucky Derby. Stay tuned right here. Welcome to the Sports Players Club, betspc.net. Whether you're a sports bettor, horse racing fan, or casino player, betspc.net is your #1 source for online gambling entertainment. From our industry-leading odds and world-class sports book to our rich casino games and fully loaded race book, we've been providing players from around the world with an unparalleled gaming experience for many years. Contact us today at betspc.net or our customer service, betspc777@gmail.com. Contact us today.
When I'm at the track, I get all my information from the Thoroughbred forecast.
Welcome back, everyone. Dennis Tobler here with Mark Klein. We're discussing the 150th running of the Kentucky Derby. This show's brought to you by the Sports Players Club, betspc.com. Now, don't forget to take advantage of the it's not .com, it's .net. The betspc.net special. The Sports Players Club is a unique place where you can bet sports, you can bet horses, and if you bet horses, you get a 5% rebate on all your losses. You also belong to the Sports Players Club. You have access to a live casino. You have access to live poker playing. So the Sports Players Club is your one and only stop that you need to do. This year's special, $100 free roll on the Kentucky Derby. You must email betspc777@gmail.com. Set up an account for a minimum of $100, and you will get a free $100 free roll on the Kentucky Derby. And any horse racing you bet on the Sports Players Club, you will get a 5% rebate bonus back to your account. So check it out, Sports Players Club. Feel free to send them an email for more information. That's betspc777@gmail.com. Okay, I stuttered through that one, but I think you all get the drift on that. Now we want to take a look at some wagering for this year's Kentucky Derby. But before we do that, I have a short 1-minute clip I want to show you that came off of this show from 6 years ago, just to make you a little bit more confident with Mark and I's selections. And then I'll be back and we'll break down the plays for this year's Derby.
If you'll remember before, I picked American Pharoah to win the Triple Crown, and I believe this year I'm going to surprise all with another pick of the same type. I'm not going to waste any time with this year's strategy because it's pretty simple. A few years back I gave you American Pharoah and I told you he would win the Triple Crown, which he did. This year I'm going to do the same thing. My pick to win this year's Triple Crown is Justified. That's right, Justified. He's coming off of only 3 races in his career, but they're 3 of the biggest races I have ever seen. His last race was the Santa Anita Derby, where he beat last year's 2-year-old champion by 3 or 4 open lengths, and he ran outside the whole way. When he gets to Kentucky, he should have too much speed for this field, and I fully expect him to win handily, and then I expect him to go on and win the Preakness and Belmont as well.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed that. That's one of the few times I know anyone ever picked a Triple Crown winner before the Kentucky Derby even ran. So that goes in my Hall of Fame category videos. And I hope this year we can match some of those big numbers that we have in the past. So let's get Mark Klein back on the show here. Welcome back, Mark. And it's now time for us to break down this Derby and give the people what they want, and that's some winners and how to bet them.
Dennis, every year in the Kentucky Derby, my emotions are expressed by the following story. An old man's walking along a beach. He sees a lamp buried in the sand, and he picks it up and rubs it, and as often happens in these stories, a genie appears. The genie says, "You freed me from the lamp, you get one wish." The man says, "Here's a map of the Middle East. The people who live here have been fighting each other for thousands of years with the most god-awful bloodshed, murder, and violence. I want peace in the Middle East." The genie says, "Even with my powers, I cannot make that happen. So you have to have another wish." The man says, "Okay, we'll do something different. I'd like to be able to pick the winner of the Kentucky Derby." The genie goes, "Let me see that map of the Middle East again."
That just makes my justify pick even greater.
Doesn't it though? Doesn't it though? This year, I'm focused on horses that have choices and some that do not. For example, the horse number 1, Dornoch, out of the 1 hole, he has no choices. He has to gun for the lead. If he doesn't, he gets sandwiched against the rail. If he does, he uses up every bit of his speed and ability not to get sandwiched against the rail. So horse ordinarily might be able to wire a grade 3 field. I don't think is going to have the spend a buck kind of ability where he wires a grade 1 Kentucky Derby field. His highest buyer rating is in the 80s, and that's not going to get it done Saturday in any event. So it leaves me with some shorter horses and a couple long shots. We both agree on fierceness. This is a horse who's cranked out 110 buyer figure. He's got great trainer, great jockey, 2-year-old champion, deservedly so. I'm not going to accept a bet on him in anything less than 5-2. I think 2-1 is you're asking. There's just so many things that can go wrong. A big favorite, which he will be, I think at less than 2-1 is just not a fair price. So he's a favorite at 9-5. He's going to run without my money. If I can get 5-2 on him or better, I'm definitely going to bet him to win.
Smart.
Sierra Leone will be the second choice. Interesting animal here. He's had extra gate training at Churchill Downs. He's a gate problem. He delayed the start of the Bluegrass Stakes by 4 or 5 minutes. He just wouldn't load in the gate. He's got kind of head issues. Well, he's going to be in front of 140,000 people Saturday, going into a starting gate that Churchill Downs uses for 2 races a year, the Oaks and the Derby. It's a 20-horse starting gate, the only one like it in the world. Interesting about that gate, it's the horse stalls are slightly narrower than standard. Here's a horse that doesn't like to load. They're going to ask him to load in front of 150,000 people into a thing that's about 3 inches narrower than he's accustomed to. And given all the things that can go wrong, I cannot accept him almost at any price on that basis. Plus, he's going to be trapped on the rail along with Dornoch. His highest buyer rating is 98. He hasn't broken 100 on the buyer scale. I'm sorry. I know he's a good horse. He may be a great horse. He runs without me. Next to him is a horse that I just absolutely am fascinated by, Mystic Dan. Now, you saw his Rebel win, 101 buyer on a sealed muddy track at Oaklawn. A triple-digit buyer on any kind of track is not easy to do, and on a muddy track, it's a real challenge. Now, the word on him is he doesn't run that fast on a fast track. Well, why would they ask him to? They know what they've got under the hood. They know what they've got in that horse. He finished 3rd in his last prep race out. Why ask him to win? He's in the Derby anyway, and this is the one they want to win. I think this horse is sitting on a big, big race. I know he runs from off the pace. He may just be good enough to not be last this time. He may be in the middle of the pack, which would suit him just fine. I mean, and you know how the people think in this race. Every jockey and trainer, well, I'd like to be lying in the maybe front 3 or 4 of the second flight or 5 lengths off the lead. Well, we'd all like that. I'd like to be in a pillow fight with a 6-girl K-pop band. So what? I mean, again, as we said before, wishing does not make it so. I'd like to be in a sitcom with Selma Hayek and Laura Ingraham. Wishing does not make it so. All these horses, 20 of them are going to be shooting for 1 or 2 spots, and only 1 or 2 of them are going to get there. So you have to ask yourself, can my horse get to the spot where everyone says he wants to be? Mystic Dan, if he's in the top half of the field, the top 10 of the field on the back stretch with any kind of path, I think he's got enough in the tank to certainly hit the board, maybe win it at a price. The other two horses that are compelling to me are Track Phantom. We talked about him in our previous segment. Steve Asmussen trains. He gets blinkers. He's kind of stalled out in terms of his development, but he's popped out a 94 buyer, which in this field, that puts him in the top third of the field. And I'm not going to ask any more of them than that. I usually don't like horses getting blinkers. It tends to be a negative sign statistically. I think in this case, it could do him some good. Steve Asmussen puts Joel Rosario on him instead of Keith Asmussen, which tells me that he wants the absolute best closing jockey he can get, and Rosario certainly fits that bill. The other horse of special interest to me is Catching Freedom. Catching Freedom ran a 97 speed figure, plenty good enough to hit the board against this group. In his Louisiana Derby, he won that race in 1 mile and 3/16. That's not too much short of the 1.25 miles they're asking for him in the Derby. And these rest of these horses, 1 mile and 1/8 has been a stretch for them. So Fierceness shows the ability to linger at the front, then power through towards the end. Catching Freedom should be able to do that too. So those are my most interesting picks. I'm going to take a deep breath and take Sierra Leone out of it along with Dornoch. That leaves me with Track Phantom, Fierceness, Sierra Leone, and Mystic Dan and Catching Freedom. My long shot, my prayers are answered by Mystic Dan. My expectations are answered by Fierceness.
All right. And I hope everybody wrote that down. Mark, mention one more time your top 4 selections.
Top 4 selection is Fierceness in the win and play slot. My long shot to give me some boxcar exacta trifecta action is Mystic Dan. They all say if it rains, he's the horse. I don't think he needs it to rain. I think they just need him to run it. I think he's sitting on a big race. My third choice would be Catching Freedom, a horse with a lot of upside. I don't think they've reached the bottom of him yet. And my fourth choice would be Track Phantom, another long shot, a front-running horse, a speed demon, getting some blinkers. And he may be able to rate his speed a little bit and move into the leaders all the way down the lane. So we get Fierceness, Mystic Dan, Catching Freedom, and Track Phantom.
Great. Sounds great. Great analysis on all of them. We differ a little bit, but that's what makes horse racing. As I take a look at the field here, I'm going to take Track Phantom to win. And the reason I'm going to take Track Phantom to win is because he's got Joel Rosario on. He's kind of rested up and prepared himself well for the Derby. I think Joel will track a lot of early speed, and he'll have a closing kick, which people won't expect out of Track Phantom. He will get the best ride in the Derby, I believe, under Rosario. And the 20-1 is just way too enticing for me. He'll probably go off more than that. And if he does, great. He's going to be set up for all my exotic wagers, horizontal and vertical. They will be in. Now, in my second spot, I'm going to take Stronghold, the Santa Anita Derby. He's 20-1 too, but I just don't believe that he's that bad of a horse. He actually beat a Bob Baffert horse, Imagination, in the Santa Anita Derby. And even though it was a small field and stuff, he's a great horse. And I look for him to be coming strong at the end. And I look for him to close to get second. Also, another closer, Sierra Leone. I don't think we can leave him behind because he has such a great kick and it's such a long distance that he's going to be there somewhere in the top 4, I believe. Now, I have some late information on Fierceness, which is going to make me change my mind. And I mean, that's weird because he's one of your top picks, but I heard this morning that his hoof walls are weak and he's being treated with Equilox. And they've been very cautious with him since the Florida Derby. And that came directly from his trainer. So this is a long ways to run. And if your hoof walls are weak and you're under medical treatment, I'm not sure you're going to get the best effort out of this horse. The Florida race he won, there was really no other competition in that race, and he could trot over it. But I'm like you, I think the Kentucky Derby or the Kentucky Churchill Downs track is heavy enough. It don't have to be wet. If it gets wet, they seal it. It gets faster. Otherwise, it's kind of a slow paced track, a lot slower than Turfway or Gulfstream Park or Santa Anita. You know, it's a lot deeper track to run in. So I don't know. I probably have to put Fierceness in my 5 spot, but I'm going to go with Track Phantom, Sierra Leone, or Track Phantom, Stronghold, Sierra Leone. And if you want to put Fierceness in there, go ahead and put Fierceness in there. And I was going to take the Scratch Horse too, but since he's out, those are the ones that I'm going to concentrate on. And between you and I both, it looks like Track Phantom and Sierra Leone and one of the other horses that either of us have in there would be a great trifecta box at least. And plenty of prizes here for win horses.
Absolutely. Even you can make money with a low price favorite if the rest of this field does what you've correctly analyzed it to do. And that's an exciting way to bet a race. I'll tell you about track. Churchill Downs has been playing very fast for workouts earlier this week. Maybe some people think a little too fast. You've had horses clock some blistering workouts. Mystic Dan put a workout in earlier this week. I think it was Sunday morning, where he did a closing for a closing quarter in 35 seconds. Now, any $25,000 claimer can train 35 seconds in 3 furlongs on the front end of a workout, but not at the back end of a 6 furlong workout. And that's what they caught him in. That tells you either something about the horse or the track, and I'm hoping it's the horse, but the track has been playing fast. The rain Friday should dampen that down a little bit. And of course, they're doing their damnedest to make sure it's as safe as it can possibly be for everybody that runs, not just the Derby horses.
Yeah, I agree. I think we broke down the Derby about the best anybody can a few days in advance. Obviously, we have distribution deadlines that we have to meet. Otherwise, we'd come to you like these other people holding seminars in casinos, etc. But I think you'll get the best information right here. Mark, thank you very much for being on the show. You truly made it a real special show. And your insights and information are the best around. And I'm going to watch it again before I bet. So I want to wish all of you out there the very best of Kentucky Derby for Mark Klein, Alan Jett, and the rest of the staff, Tommy in Costa Rica, and everyone else. This is Dennis Tobler saying goodbye and good luck.